Hey everyone, it's Marwan here again with a new live sketching video. Just arrived in Florida again, back tomorrow. So yesterday, I came yesterday. So I've been in Sweden for 9 days. I went home for a while just to say hi to family and to go skiing. We went up to like the middle part of Sweden to go skiing. I tried the snowboard for the first time in I think 10 years. So that kind of messed up my knees a little bit because I'm not really good at it, but I really want to get good at it. So I just went for it, but after a day I decided to go with skis and it was so much easier. A lot of fun, but it's good to be back in the sunshine. So I just did these couple of sketches just now. I used marker paper for once. I kind of never use marker paper, and the reason is right here. You can see this line here in the middle. It got messed up because if I use too much marker on the marker paper, it kind of damages the paper and it looks like crap. So that's why I don't like marker paper. I just prefer simple printing paper or something like that. Any paper you can find except for marker paper to use markers. But let's talk about blending and let's sketch some. Not really sure what to sketch. I guess we'll come up with something. We can start with some ellipses just to warm up. And we're gonna render these ellipses. Let's make another shape, not just an ellipse. We can make something like this. Just a random shape. Add some thickness to it. If you have anything specific you want to see or you want to learn, or if you have any questions, just let me know in the questions in the comments section of this video, and I will try to answer them as good as I can. So these could probably be some hair dryers if we add a handle to these. Look at that. We created a hair blower out of a tiny, simple ellipse. We just need to cut it off here and maybe work a bit on the rear, I guess, to make it thicker at the back. Add some buttons to this so you have a way to turn it on or off. And let's add some markers to this now. And I'm using this paper because it was the the paper that was closest to me, so I just picked this one. Let's see what kind of markers we have. Oh, by the way, I have these new cases that is from our store. So if you want to have your markers a bit more organized than the way I used to have them, which was all over the desk, you might want to check this case out on borntosketch.com. I think we're gonna go with red for this this sketch. We have a few reds there. In these cases, they can hold up to 80 markers, and they fit all kinds of marker brands, so it doesn't matter what kind of marker brand you're using, they will still fit in here. I think I like this one. As always, I like to start with the lightest shade of whatever color I'm gonna use. In this case, it's red, and this seems to be a pretty light shade. So it's been a while since I sketched with markers. Maybe you can tell. But I want to get into it, back into it as fast as possible. So I'm gonna make these very loose sketches, not too complicated or not too detailed. I just want to get some shapes up, down on the paper, and see what we can do with the shapes. So for this example, I guess we're gonna be sketching hairdryers, which I know is I think we sketched hairdryers in college. It's a good exercise since they are usually not too complicated shapes. They are basically a cylinder, and then you just add a handle to it. So it's a good practice object to be sketching. Cherry pink, let's see what that looks like. Perfect. Just gonna add some shading to this. So I've gotten some questions about shading and what to think about when you're shading. I like to think of it as, instead of thinking of it as shading, I like to think of it as layering. So you're layering different types, different shades of red in this example. And when you layer your markers like this, you automatically get the shading. The faster you sketch, the faster you go over the different kind of shades, the better the blend is going to be, because it gives you time while the ink is still wet to go in and add a second layer. If you leave it for too long, you're not going to have the possibility to mix them really well. So you want to be as quick or as fast as possible here. I think I'm gonna make the button gray or a cool gray. So I have a green gray here. Sounds interesting. Let's see what that looks like. Sure. Not sure how a button for a hairdryer looks like, so I'm just gonna make it super generic like that. So you have like on at the top and then maybe off at the bottom or something like that. So I'm gonna go back to some more reds. We have a carmine red here. And I'm looking at the video, it looks to be decent quality so far of the live stream. So hopefully it stays like that. Not really happy with this shape, so I'm gonna try and adjust it. Just to make it thicker. Is that better? The good thing when you're using this kind of paper, a toned paper, is that you can go in with the highlights when you're done and really make the white pop. Since this is brown, the white is gonna pop even more than if you were to use a white paper. I don't think that was the color I used to start with. This one that I did just now. What else? We have some cut lines. Gonna add a cut line right here. So the shape of this cut line is going to tell you what kind of perspective you're looking at this on the for the sketch. So I'm adding some, just filling out the outline of this product. I think I'm going to use a black marker for this, since it's so much faster. Let's use a black marker for this. The bottom baseline is going to be thicker than the rest of the lines, so I'm adding a double line down there. And then I want to have the line fade as we get close to the end of the product, so fade out like that. I don't want to add a black line on the top because the light is coming from the top, so no need to put a black line up there. I do, however, want to add some shading to this part down here. For that, I'm using the big pen. Since the handle is round, that means that the shadow is going to be like something like that. And then I'm going to use some line shading to fill this in. We could also add some line shading to this part here if you want to. Just to give it some more glossiness. Adding a section line or a cut line to the button. There we go. What else? What do we need to do to this sketch? We could add some highlights if we want to do that with the white ink. I think I'm gonna do that next. No questions so far? I can see that the quality is not as good as I hoped it would turn out. Not sure why. But let me see if I can refresh the page. Maybe that will help. Maybe it did, I don't know. But let's add some highlight to this design. Using my Posca, Uni Posca pen. So I want to add highlights especially on the glossy areas and the cut lines. So here we have one. And we have another one down here. And we could add a highlight up here. So Uyan, to practice shades or shading, I mentioned it earlier, but I like to think of it as layering. So instead of trying to blend your markers too much, which you really don't need to do, but instead of doing that, you could just use different layers of markers. So if you have, for example, like this, a lot of reds or a lot of shades of one color, you can start with the brightest shade of red, and then you just move on to darker and darker. And yeah, if you want to do glossy surfaces, just remember to add highlights as well, because glossy surfacing is all about contrast. If you don't have contrast in glossy surfaces, you're not gonna get a good result, and you're not gonna be able to tell that it's a glossy surface. And that's something that I see a lot of people miss. And I can understand that, because getting contrast in a sketch can be can be kind of scary, because if you do something wrong, it's difficult to fix since the values are so strong. But that's kind of what you need to do if you want to do a glossy surface. And by that I mean you want to have a bright red, you also want to have a really dark red, or you add the big pen to shade the dark like this, to shade the darker red like this. So right now I have full white right here on the highlights, and I also have full black, which are these cut lines here, and that together creates contrasts. I don't really use pencils to sketch, so I can't answer that question. Sorry. We can go ahead and render this one, this shape down here, whatever it is. It's a square right now, but let's see what kind of colors we have. Yellow. We have some yellows here. Touch markers. That one, that one. And I also want an orange, which we have here. I think that's all we need. Let's see what this will look like. I like to use all kinds of markers. Branding is not that important to me. As long as they work and as long as they perform as I want them to do, then I'm happy with the marker. I don't care if it says whatever brand on the side. All I care about is the performance. Let's see what these look like. I've been sketching since, Uyan is asking, you've been sketching since, for as long as I can remember, really. I used to sketch, like, monster heads, something really weird, when I was maybe 8 or something like that. My classmates, they wanted me to sketch their faces or their heads and turn them into monsters, so that was a lot of fun. Not something I really do anymore. I'm not that good at sketching organic shapes. I think I'm gonna fill the top part in a bit more. Is this too dark? Maybe. Let's find a yellow. Doesn't really look yellow on this paper. Let's see what else we have. This orange should exist somewhere else on this sketch, and I think it was this one. Raybar, I do not do any freelance work anymore. I used to do a lot of freelancing before, but right now I work mostly online, and I own a couple of businesses online and also teaching sketching online on the SketchMonkey and some other platforms. So I think this is good for now. I'm just gonna add the baselines and add the contrast as we talked about earlier to make this look, to make it pop a bit more from the paper. Right now it looks too too light, I guess. So I just want to add some black. I can either use the black marker or the big pen, which I'm doing right now. And just by adding that line, it just looks a lot better. So that's the thing with not being afraid to adding a contrast. Just add it, and if you mess up, just start over and try to figure out what you did wrong. Oh yeah, and I have no idea what this is. I'm just sketching random stuff right now, just to get back into the sketching, since I haven't been sketching for about 2 weeks almost. We can maybe make this into a product. Not sure. Yeah, Raybear, I'm actually doing, I have a bunch of sketching courses where I teach everything from Photoshop design sketching, so digital sketching online, to basic sketching like these videos here, how to build products from simple geometries and marker techniques and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a really good idea if you'd like to teach. I'm not sure what I want to do with this yellow platform here, if we can make something cool out of it. Yeah, I prefer to do it online, because teaching, that is, because I reach a lot more people and I can do it whenever I want. So for example, right now I just go live on Facebook and just sketch, and whoever wants to check it out, you're welcome to check it out. So I'm just adding some shapes into, I'm adding some shapes onto the shape just to make it look more interesting. I want to add some thickness to this wall at the back. Like that. And then we have this goes down like this. And we can add some line shading in here if we don't want to use the orange marker. I think I'm actually going to use the orange marker here as well. If I can just find the right one. I think it was this one. Sure, let's use it. have a bachelor from in industrial design from Mid Sweden University, which is in a town called Sundsvall in Sweden, obviously. That was a 3-year degree where I basically never touched markers, by the way, because I was so bad at it that I just didn't want to even try to do it. But then a few years ago I just told myself that I really wanted to learn how to sketch with markers, so I started sketching pretty much every day with markers. And right now I haven't sketched in Photoshop for almost, I guess, a year. There, we made something out of this shape. I don't know what it is, but the perspective is a bit off at the rear. And what else can we do? We can make a... I made a quick car here already, so I'm not sure if I want to do that again. We can make something out of this, maybe. Has a section line on here. Maybe make a computer mouse. Sketching is all about having fun, really. Don't really worry too much about perspective or trying to make something look super perfect. It doesn't matter. Just go with the flow and sketch whatever you feel like sketching. Guess we can make this green just to get some variety in here. Things are flying all over the desk. I want to see so I don't mess up the big lines of the other sketches, because if I go over with the hand too much on the big lines, I'm gonna smear it out and it's not gonna look good. But it looks like I'm alright for now. And always make it easy for yourself, so rotate the paper as much as you can to get the best angle for your sketching. You can just go like this all day. Just rotate the paper and make your lines. Yeah, and I'm not sure what the percentage of Swedes are designers, but I think Sweden is big when it comes to graphic design, more so than product design, I think. We do have some really great schools, for example Umeå, if you've heard of that. I think it's one of the best schools when it comes to car design and product design as well. But yeah, we do have a lot of designers in Sweden, whether they be graphic designers or product designers. Thank you, Lilia. I'm glad you like it. even though it's a warm-up sketch. Warm-up sheet of paper. Wonder if this is darker than that one. It is. I thought it was gonna be brighter, but let's go with it. Well, that messed everything up. Now I need to try and save this sketch somehow. I want to find a green that's in between these two. And I think I did. Still looks a bit off. I'm not sure what strategic design is. I have not studied strategic design at all, so I can't answer that question, sorry. I want to do these two buttons here, or whatever. I want to do that a different color. We can add a scroll. Let's add some scroll wheel in here. Let's make that gray. So I need some cool grays. Cool gray 5. Trying to figure out the reflections of this piece. I think I'm just going to fill this in like that, make it easy for myself. And we can even go one step. This was cool gray 5. So we can jump into, let's see, cool gray 7 sounds good. There we go, we made a mouse. Just gonna add the black outline to this, and I think we're done with that one. to make a definition of this wheel in here as well. Uyan, what do you want to study? Industrial design or car design or? Yeah, I think that's a problem that a lot of people are struggling with, is motivation. I think it's important to figure out why you want to do something. So let's say you want to be a designer, but why? What's the purpose? Why do you want to be an industrial designer? And if you don't have a strong reason why you want to do something, then I think it's really hard to find the motivation to do it. Which is why I think a lot of people have problems with, you know, formal education. As myself, I also struggled with that part because I had no motivation. I didn't know why I was learning the things I was learning, since it had no meaning to me, and I knew I was not gonna use it later. So if you want to do something and want to find motivation for it, you gotta find the reason why first. Let's make the cut line here for the mouse buttons. Talking about, to continue about the motivation part, I think it's kind of difficult to know what it is you want to do, since there are so many people around you telling you what you're supposed to be doing in their eyes. But it's not always what you want yourself, and you might think that whatever they tell you that you're supposed to do, that's the right thing to do. So sometimes you just need a break to figure out yourself what it is you want to do, which is, I think that's the hardest part. When you know what you want to do, then it becomes easy to pursue that vision that you have. But today everybody has an opinion of what everybody should be doing, and that can be toxic sometimes. Guess we can add some highlights to this as well, so let me find my Posca pen, which is right here. That's extremely white. There we go. So I think I'm done with this video, unless I want to sketch something else on this page. But I've only had 2 cups of coffee today, so I think I'm gonna go make myself a cup of coffee, and then maybe get back into sketching if I feel like it. We'll see. So that's about it for this warm-up sketching back in Florida session. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like this kind of stuff, go to my YouTube and subscribe, because I'm uploading all of these videos, and I have it has to be over 100 videos now on there. Just search for the Sketch Monkey and my channel should pop up there, and you can go and subscribe. And also these markers, as usual, use Sketch 10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off these markers on borntosketch.com. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. I will see you next time. Take it easy.